What's up, guys? Session number 15, back to back. I've had a few people ask if this was happening, and here I am, it's happening. A little earlier tonight, so we'll see who pops in and what cards we're going to be looking at, what we're going to be talking about. Is anybody's guess? But looking forward to it. It was a lot of fun last night. And no doubt it will be tonight as well. I'm just going to kind of poke around on eBay until some folks show up. One set that's been on my mind recently is the 1951 Topps. So I'm looking forward to seeing what people think about that set. And if anybody has any strong opinions or cards that they prefer from that set. Well, hey man, I'm having a good night so far. I hope you are too. I was gonna start off by seeing what people thought about 1951 Topps. It's a set that I don't really know that much about, but I'm kind of interested in it, and I don't know if anybody knows that set well or has any thoughts about it, but I think it's a pretty interesting set. So I thought it might be a good way to start. Yeah, and I think you're not alone. I think a lot of people are. But we'll probably just wait here a little bit. See, I'll hold off on that one until more people get in here. But I would imagine that's going to be the overriding feeling about that set is mixed feelings. Hey, James. Good to see you. Doing a Red Sox team run, and I'm currently not including 51. Because you're just not interested in the set, or some other reason? I guess it's technically considered not a card set, right? It's like a game, so it doesn't really count, I think, in some people's minds. Right. You know, the thing that changed my mind about it was strangely enough, the Blake Jameson set that he did on whatever that was, last year or recently, or earlier this year, I guess. I can't remember when it was. But I did not collect any of these sort of Topps artist project cards, but I've been following, other people collect it, and I certainly follow it on YouTube. And those ones stood out to me. I enjoyed the idea of revisiting that set, and I think looking at the 51 Topps design it got me to stop thinking about those cards the way that they're designated, because I think a lot of people, myself included, will look at the way that the card is categorized, and it'll force you in a way to put that card in that category as a separate thing. And so with 51 Tops, it's like, oh, that's not a card set, it's a game. And so you kind of take it off the radar. But when I was looking at that, I was like, yeah, it's a game, but it's a really cool design. And it kind of changed my mind about it. Hey, Don. I got you. Well, yeah. So you're talking to somebody that did not collect one card out of any of that stuff that's been going on the past couple of years. So this is an outsider's perspective, I guess. But anyway, here are some 51 Tops. Does anybody here have any 51 Tops or have any strong opinions one way or the other, or any favorites from this set? I think this set is interesting. I know it's not technically, designated as a card set in the proper sense, but I think it's still cool and worth talking about. All right, so far, not a whole lot of collecting experience in here with this set. So James doesn't have any, Don doesn't have any, I don't have any, but I like this Monty Irvin. Let's see who else we come across here. Maybe I should do it by highest. Well, I certainly don't want to click on a Dean's Cards list, right? I'm not even going to look at a link like that. But let me see if I can find. Just want to look at some of the cards here. All right. Duke Snider. The early win is pretty cool. Here's some closer shots. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the design is like really intense. There's a lot going on, but you can also say the design is pretty limited because it's basically just some headshots, right? Some of them stand out, some of them don't. We in no way make you spend any money. I'm gonna completely clear myself of that charge. Yeah, I don't know that I really knew that initially, Don, myself, but over the years hearing people talk about the cards, yeah, it is some kind of a card game. Look up Yogi and Monty. Yeah, the Monty Irvin card's really cool. Let me see the Berra. I'm not sure if we already saw it or not, but I'm gonna single it out here. Yeah, look, Yogi looking like Yogi. What's up, Jesse? It happened. Well, right now the topic is 1951 tops, but it could change. There are no, for anybody that's new to this live chat, there is no agenda. Whatever happens, happens. So you guys are more than welcome to come up with topics if you have one. Yes, we are. Yes, we are, James. What's the next target card on your list? Yeah, the way that it works is I've got a running list that stretches back into the 1800s, and right now stops in the 70s. But I'm pretty much focused on the 50s right now for whatever reason. And very rarely do I know what the next card is. I know what the cards are that I'm after long term, like big picture. But I don't really know which one I'm necessarily going after next. I can tell you that for the rest of this year, for the foreseeable future, I'm not getting any big time cards because I just got a Hank Aaron rookie, and I more recently got a Aaron Mantle card. So I'm gonna slow it down like I promised I would. Now I have to. So I'm gonna be getting like, not like impact cards, let's call them, for the foreseeable future. But I did just pick up a card the other day that I'm excited about because it's kind of a fun card, and I'm not going to say what it is, but it's another 50s card, but I'm not going to say what it is. What's going on, man? Welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, for sure. The Dorman postcards are absolutely beautiful, and I'm fairly convinced. I'm fairly convinced that this guy was one of the photographers that worked on the photography that was used for the 53 Bowman Color set. But for those of you that are not necessarily familiar with this, they are really beautiful color photographs that are postcards of, I think it's the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the White Sox, I think. It's kind of a weird combination of teams. Yankees, Dodgers, White Sox. And there might be, those are the ones that come to mind. Like here's a Billy Pierce of the White Sox. Here's Gil Hodges. We'll take a look at some of these. And the deal was that these postcards, well, first of all, the photographer took all these photographs, developed them, and obviously paid for them to be made. And the signatures are facsimiles. And the idea was that the players could use these cards to send messages, or fans could use these cards to get autographs or whatever they wanted to do with them. And I think they sold them at the ballpark. But they're really, really fantastic photographs, obviously. Here's Billy Martin. So I've been ignoring the chat here, so let me get in here. Do I prefer mainstream Topps Bowman cards? I would say all of the above. I don't know that I have a preference. I mean, I do think that the run that Bowman went on in the late 40s and into the 50s is incredible in terms of like just the consistency of the cards and how awesome their designs were. But Topps is good at what they do, and all the oddball stuff is cool too. So, yes, I am. I mean, if I tell you what I'm getting, what's the point of making a video, right? I like making the videos too, so you'll find out. Hey, man. Yes, they are. Yeah, they're really fun. Let's see. Here's a Whitey Ford. '53 Brown and Bigelow Ty Cobb. Anything before that is way outside my price range. They're oddly affordable. Okay. Well, since you mentioned it, Chris, let's go see if there are any on eBay. Oh, sure. I've seen this before, yeah. It's pretty fun. It's a unique piece, especially because of the time period. I mean, you're kind of getting not just Ty Cobb, but you're also getting the 1950s version of Ty Cobb looking back, which is kind of cool. And you can kind of see it here, but if you look close up in the background, there's like a really almost completely opaque shot of a newspaper. It says Ty Cobb steals, what does he say? Steals 96 bases. Modern league record or something like that. I can't read it completely. Wondering if you have the 57 Dodger Slugger, which is also pretty cheap and loaded with Hall of Fames. The answer to that is yes. It's sitting right back here, right there, actually, behind me. Yeah, I picked that card up earlier this year, and it's a great one. Cool. Very cool. Yeah, when it comes to collecting a player like Ty Cobb, outside of making those once in a lifetime purchases, which I was fortunate enough to get to do last year, and maybe again sometime in my life, who knows? You have to think outside the box a little bit, and I think there are still cards, really cool, interesting cards that you can get for a player like Ty Cobb or Honus Wagner or any of those kinds of guys. There are ways to do it. Any other cards you guys are open to looking up? I'll share the link in here too, just in case anybody wants to hop on here. Jesse, I might need to get somebody. I've never given out wrenches in here. I don't even know how to do it, but I might need to give somebody a wrench and kick you out. Oh, okay, that's pretty easy. Put user in timeout or block user. All right. Well, Jesse, I'm going to keep that in mind. Yeah, it's weird. I don't. Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense because it's StreamYard and not YouTube. I don't see a way to give out wrenches here. Bill Mazeroski's the oldest Hall of Famer still alive. Now is the time to buy his Ricky Card Hall of Famer with the most famous home run in World Series history and a very good guy. Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. If Don is in here, he can speak to Pirates fandom when it comes to Mazeroski. Okay, that's an interesting set. Yeah, that's definitely one that does not get a lot of conversation. When it comes to Topps product, I first, excuse me, I'm drinking LaCroix. I first learned about 1948 Topps Magic from Giuseppe One, who is a longtime YouTuber, not making as many videos of late, but I'm pretty sure that's where I first heard about 1948 Topps Magic. And I am no expert in these, but I think the idea was let's see if I can find a better. Well, here's a Roger Hornsby. I mean, I have no idea if these are legit or counterfeit or whatever, but just for the sake of looking at an image, I think the idea was like these were items that you could pick up out of like a vending machine, essentially. You put like a penny or a dime in and get a card. That was the beginning of everything. And then there was Mike.
Hi, Alex.
What's up, man? How are you?
Well, I'm wearing the blue hat and the glasses just so I can fit in and stream.
That's the prerequisite. So you have met it.
The uniform of the day. I love it.
Yeah. What's going on?
Not much. I heard somebody said Mazeroski. I thought Mays was the oldest living Hall of Famer.
That's a good point. Now, do we mean like oldest in terms of age or oldest in terms of I mean, I guess that's what we mean, but or is it like in terms of years in the game or when they started, or I don't know.
Well, you know who's been in the Hall of Fame the longest that's still alive? Can you guess that?
I know you know.
Sandy
I have no
Koufax.
idea.
Sandy Koufax.
Sandy Koufax. Okay.
Sandy Koufax was elected in 1970 or something. Yeah, Mays is the oldest living Hall of Famer, just so you know.
Wow. And
He's
how old is he?
90 years old.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
1972, Koufax has been in the Hall of Fame almost 50 years.
And he got in extremely quickly.
Yeah, 2 years after. Well, his last year was 66, so his first year.
Right. And Mays, I don't know, but is Mays in good health, or has he been in and out of hospitals, or?
Well, I don't get to talk to his family much to find that out.
Yeah, well, I mean, like sometimes you keep hearing these guys, in the news, but.
I mean, at 90, are you really in good health ever? Like, is there such a thing as a healthy 90-year-old? I don't know.
Well, I mean, there are 90-year-old, like my grandma lived till she was 101 and she could still drive. So I wouldn't want to get in the car with her, but.
Gotcha. Yeah, so, I haven't heard anything like has cancer or some other ailment that has got him really in bad shape. But it's weird how we're this age of these players they're just getting so much older from that group. Aaron's died. If you think about all the 50s and 60s players, really, they're all getting up there now for sure.
Right.
And to me, the 70s and 80s guys don't have the same punch to their, history, lore, whatever you want to say.
Why is that? Because I agree with you.
Why is that? That's $1 million question, probably. Maybe at least a $10,000 question. No, I guess just in the 50s, the golden era, the golden age of baseball, late 40s, post-war through really probably 58 when the Dodgers and Giants moved. You had this amazing era of baseball. New York obviously was the center of it, and that it was the game for everyone. Followed the games, and it was a very different world. In the 70s, people started getting busy and it wasn't that baseball wasn't still very popular, but it wasn't the only game in town. People,
right.
It was just different. It was a different era, and not that Mike Schmidt's not amazing, and guys like, but even then, you look at Puckett's dead, Gwynn is dead. They're not all around still, but it's just a different mindset, I think. Why do you think it is?
I think it's that. I also think that, for me at least, there's something alluring about the fact that it's not as accessible as stuff is now. If I want to know something about a player, I can know way more than I really need to just by social media and media in general. Whereas, if I was a fan of even Mickey Mantle, who was a huge, media giant, there was still like this imagination that went into it. Like you couldn't watch every game. Not every game was televised necessarily, and you had to listen to the game or you had to follow the game in the newspaper, and it left a lot to the imagination, I think. And I think even now looking back, like today, just today, Bob Lewis texted a video of Honus Wagner, and it was like Honus Wagner later in life. I guess he was a coach at the time, but he does like an on-camera interview. And as I was watching it, I realized I've never heard Honus Wagner speak. Like I've never heard his voice before. It was like, wow, this is like, I feel like I know Honus Wagner. I've heard about him and read about him and everything. It was like, I've never heard him talk out loud. It was really kind of surreal. And it's like, you've got with these players that are just iconic and they're kind of mythical, the less you know about them, the more sort of mysterious and interesting they are. When you know everything, it's kind of like, all right, not as exciting.
Yeah, there is this, you used I think a perfect word to describe it, and that's mythical. There's this mythical characteristics of these players that is hard to replicate today. Impossible to replicate today, I would argue.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, I'm coming on tonight ill prepared. I don't have any cards that I found from 1970 or 71 to show off in a binder. So
yeah, that's a hard act to follow.
Yeah, I'm not going to be as cool as Nina. I just saw Nina over on the Mike O's doing a live sale right now. So Nina's over there buying a bunch of baseball and football cards. So
right.
But I just, we've talked about me coming on here and just shooting the bull with you for a while. So
yeah, no, I'm glad to have you.
Thought I'd jump on.
For sure. I mean, you had a binder of your own in a way, like 3 giant ones, or was it 2 in like a box?
2 in a box.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah, and how long of a process was that? Like from the conversation to the sale?
About 6 months. I
Hmm.
didn't tell the long version of the story because I didn't want to bore people, but I first saw these about 6 months ago, and if you see a group of cards like that, I was literally blown away in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. And then a month or two later, I looked at them again, and it may not have been 6 months. I could go back and look at when I did my first video about this. When I found, or not found them, when I first looked at these cards, and the second time when I went through them and was pulling them out of these old binder pages and all that, I was disappointed largely in the condition of all the cards. You know, a lot of them were really beat up, and it's like, oh, okay. I was less enthralled, less excited for him in terms of what he could get out of it based on the value. And so that was kind of disappointing. But the reality is he's happy with whatever, you know.
Sure. It was found, right?
Well, given to him by his dad, but certainly didn't have any idea. He would have been completely taken advantage of by anyone else and
Right.
not
Oh my
realize.
gosh, with the stuff that's in that, I mean, like you said, there's some beaters and some comments, but there are a few key pieces in there that definitely would have been tragic, not handled the right way. So
How did I value that 51 mantle? Well, kind of as a raw mantle. I mean, so the two cards I graded out of that collection that I had bought, the 48 Bowman Musial rookie and the 50 Bowman Jackie, I was exactly correct in my pre-assessment grade and what they ultimately got from PSA.
right.
That doesn't mean that there weren't potentially some things that I couldn't see that PSA would discover and knock it down. So the maze is way cleaner than my 2, for example, as I look at it, right? So I think the maze is a 4 or 5. And if it's not, though, you can't buy cards based on what you think they might or might not get as a numerical grade. And so same thing with the mantle. The mantle's registration's not great. There's some color bleeding within the picture. It's not centered perfectly or anything. I mean, it's probably a 3 is kind of my guess, which is still a pretty decent valued card, you know?
Yeah.
So it doesn't look nearly as good as my 5, for example. You know, just because I have each of those cards to compare to, and I was using those to show the guy who owns the cards, like, look at this one. It's this grade. And then look at this one. Let's look at what's better, what matters, what doesn't matter. I was giving him an education as much as I could to explain how this works and
Sure.
showing him on eBay the difference in just going up one integer, you know, on a grade.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing.
How dramatic the price changes are. And he was just blown away by all of it. And ultimately being able to sell them to a guy, that whole process. So that all happened literally yesterday. That took about 10 minutes to come to a number. And Mike in Oklahoma wasn't here. He was supposed to be here yesterday.
Right.
And he couldn't make it. So he let me kind of tell him, and we FaceTimed and I showed him a bunch of the cards, you know, and he ultimately, we kind of came to what he called a retail value in his mind, and then took something off of that for his, you know, meat on his bone. And again, he's taking all the risk, right? Like there's just like I took the risk with the Musial and the Jackie, and I paid way less for the raw ones than I would for those graded numbered that grade. You know what I mean? because I thought they were this grade. I didn't know there could have been a surface wrinkle or I couldn't see or you name it.
Sure.
And so I said, look, I'll pay you cash for these raw. I'll take the risk. I'll pay for the grading, all those things. And that's kind of how Mike looks at it. I think he's only going to grade the mantle and the maze. I think the rest of them he's going to keep raw and actually keep in his PC.
Oh, very cool.
I thought was great. He's building all those sets. So sorry, nice. I'm rambling a lot, but
no. It's cool. Was there at any point in the conversations did the guy that owned the cards consider keeping any of them, or was it just like, I have no interest in this?
No, he thought they were cool. He was excited. They were valuable. The situation is simply that he's trying to put kids through college, and
sure,
I wouldn't use the word struggling financially, but that's a big windfall for them. That's a way for something that he doesn't. If they had no value, he would keep them obviously for nostalgic purposes, but he needs the money more than he needs the cards.
Right.
So it was a win-win for everybody. I think everybody got a good deal in that deal. So anyway,
here's a dark thought from Carlisle. Imagine if we were graded like cards, bad centering, wrinkles, and staining.
I got more than a few surface wrinkles. Some run more deep than others. Yeah. I want the gray hair variation of the baseball collector card, right? You could do like
the gray parallel.
Right. The gray haired parallel. That'd be hilarious. Did I consider buying it? I considered buying it myself. Like just buying all of it. But I didn't for a couple of reasons. Number one, I would have actually probably given him less money, truth be told, because I was thinking about how many of those cards I would want to get graded and the cost of that running through my brain in the current environment. Not that I couldn't be patient and wait for PSA someday to come back down to earth, but do we know that's going to happen? I don't know that.
Right.
And it was a lot of money to put on that possibility that, you know what I mean? There was just a lot of risk there that I was unwilling to take.
And I mean, you got two fantastic cards.
Yeah.
That you needed for your collection. So,
and there were literally 80 to 100 more in that collection that I would love for my projects, various different projects. And think of that. I would keep 80 to 100 of the best cards in there. That's taking a lot of, like, if I was to even sell all the stuff that I did, you know, the commons and even the mantle and the maze, I don't know that I would make back to even, you know what I mean? It's just, it was a big risk, and I'll just be more patient and bleed the money slower than one big.
Yeah, so you can kind of like not pay attention to, the slow bleeding.
Yes, it's the old frog on a hot plate, right? Where you turn up the heat gradually, you don't even notice and jump off. But James is here, Elite Hunters. He came over to my house on Monday.
Oh, wow.
We had a great time. He had a good time looking through the beast, and we talked cards and drank beer, and grand old time was had by all. So,
is James in Texas?
Yeah, he's in North Dallas.
I didn't realize that. Well, that explains all the Dallas shows then.
Yes. The Dallas show in October is going to be, you got to come down here, Alex, or come over here. You're in Atlanta, or I can't remember where you are.
I'm in Savannah. Yeah.
Savannah. Yeah. You got to come over for the October Dallas show. I think it's going to be like a YouTube reunion down here for the October show.
Is it monthly at this point, or
every other month?
Every other month. Okay. Cool. And like, if you had to I mean, I've seen the videos, but is it fair to call it like a mini national, size wise?
Yeah, maybe dealer wise. There's none of the corporate presence and,
Yeah.
the autograph pavilion and the breaker pavilion and all those things. It's just cards, right? So in terms of total dealers, it's probably about 2/3 of the size of the national in terms of just table space.
Mhm.
But I didn't go to the one last weekend. So, because I'm going to the industry summit next week in Las Vegas. So I'll be there at that. There's a show and then what's called the industry summit, which if you were to ask me, I have no idea what it really is other than a bunch of people from the sports card world getting together and talking about how great they are, I guess. I don't know, but
Talking about fanatics and tops, and I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
I'm sure there will be a lot to talk about there, but there's a card show with that next Friday and Saturday, and I'll be there for that mainly. But yeah. And when's it bad to go to Vegas? Like never. So I'll actually probably spend more time at the poker table than I will at the card show. But geez, Mikey, we got the West Coasters coming in now.
How you doing, Jim? How you doing, Mike?
They're all, oh, is he really? I want to meet you, Mike. I want to make sure I meet you.
I can't remember. Is the Dallas show, like, what was your impression of it? Does it tend to be like modern, or is vintage? Does vintage have representation?
Vintage has a small representation. It's way more of the new crowd in the hobby.
Yeah.
And I think that it got that really early because it was the only show in town and the hobby was evolving so quickly. And think about old school dealers. Most of them are typically older people. They weren't wanting to get during the COVID uncertainty, get back to shows really quickly. So those spots were taken by the next generation of collectors that think very differently, and they dominated it. And now they're kind of on they get first right of refusal, for the next show. So
right.
It's now harder, where it used to be hard for the modern guys to get into a show because these old school guys would just keep going back. Now that's flipped, at least for the Dallas show. The national, of course, was my cup of tea, which was predominantly vintage, which was great. So totally flipped on its head. I would say it's literally the complete opposite. If the national is 75-25 vintage to modern, the Dallas show is flipped 75 modern, 25 vintage.
Wow.
And maybe James is here. He could agree or disagree with that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear his take on it, but I gotta say, like, that's not a real enticement for me. But I mean, it's great for the hobby.
And it's more about the fact that Rated Rookie Josh is going to be here, and Andy, she blinded me, the Refractors will be here, and
Sure.
JT's coming down, and Dave Blue Jacket's coming down, and they're all
okay. Yeah, I hear you. It's way more about the experience then.
For sure. And we're having like a giant slumber party here at my house. Apparently, everybody's staying here, so it's going to be crazy that weekend, and great. I mean, like when I was talking to James, I don't think he's told this story on a video of his because I haven't seen it, but he called me. We were talking Monday at like 6:30 at night, and we hadn't talked on the phone ever. We've met in person several times and all that, but we were talking on the phone because I had teased him about when are you going to come over and hang out. That day we talked, and it was like 6:30. I said, "Well, why don't you come over now?" And he did. He got in his car, grabbed a 6-pack of beer on the way, and he came over that night, and we were up till 11:30 talking cards and hanging out. I don't know where I'm staying, Mike, honestly. Ty's handling all. It's a bench clear thing. I'm just going with bench clear. So I know I have a flight, and I'm meeting everybody there, and I don't think we're staying on the Strip though. I do know that. So he did come with a 6-pack, and not his abs. He came with a 6-pack.
To be clear, yeah.
To be clear, yes. Yeah, see all you people with young kids, man. I'm so now free as a bird with kids in college and off doing their thing. It's like, oh, so great. What about you, man? What do you did you see any cards in that collection I was showing that you'd be like, yeah, I'd kind of like to have that card?
Yeah, the 2 cards that you bought. Like, good choices, really good choices.
The Campy rookie he had was really nice too. It was nice. Yeah, it's good stuff.
But I mean, like you said, when you first looked at the set, your energy level was so high. When you looked at it the second time, it kind of dropped a little bit. I would imagine part of that was because it's so cool. I mean, it's like a fantasy to think about looking at somebody's set that they collected back in the day, and that it's just been sitting around and people have no idea what it is or what's in it. And you're the first person that's looking at it with that knowledge is pretty, I gotta imagine that's pretty exciting.
It was. And I didn't hide it either. Like, he could tell I was, there was no hiding it. And I certainly couldn't disguise my enthusiasm for him because I knew what he wanted to do, but I told him that night, and I think I've told the story, but he wasn't leaving with those 2 cards. I was like, I'm buying these. And he thought I was joking at first. And I was like, no, I want to buy them. And I went and got cash, and he couldn't believe it. And I was like, heck yeah. So he was super excited. What's the oldest complete set that you have, Alex? I'm going to guess 53 Bowman.
It's the only complete set I have. Yeah. It starts and stops there. How about you, Mike? You've got some complete sets.
Just the 60 tops is the oldest set I have. Then I don't start again until 73. So I have 73 to now top sets. So I need to figure out how to go live with you guys. Come on. Spare bedroom. Yeah, I agree, Dean. I love how Dean changed his name to, yeah, I collect it all.
Truth. Yeah, I've said it to you before, Dean. I really enjoy your videos. I enjoy the way you collect. It's fun. Just slowly but surely putting stuff together.
So, Alex, you'll be, I think, mildly proud of me because I only need one more 53 Bowman color card for my Hall of Fame run, and I need Duke Snider, and he's shockingly expensive. Shockingly expensive.
I have not looked up Duke in a while. What do you have a grade range that you're
3 to 5?
5?
3 to 5. I'd be happy with.
Okay, 3 to 5. All right.
Let's look it up together. I don't even know.
Here, let me put it up on the screen.
I get so depressed. I only look about once every couple of weeks because I should have it as a saved search. Do you do saved searches on eBay?
Oh yeah, I max it out. I'm over. What's that?
Don't you get all the emails every morning?
No, you can turn them off.
Uh-huh.
So I turn off all the emails, because that would be awful. But I think the max is 100, so I'm always maxed out on my saved searches, and I'll just rotate them out.
Nice. That's probably smart.
But when I was collecting this set, I definitely it was all. My range was like 5s to 4s to 6s, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, there's not a lot on here right now.
No, and they're all buy it nows. They
Yeah.
rarely come for auction. Like if you
Mhm.
go to sold,
Oh yeah.
like there was a 4 that went off.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, a 4 that went for 300, which, oh, by the way, I bid on that card. I was the underbidder.
Mm.
I think I put in $300 and I thought I was way over. Like I was like, I put in a snipe that I was like, I'm not going to lose this card. Well, I did by $1, like son of a gun, I mean, look at that. That's a nice one, right?
Yeah, and one of the reasons I think this, I mean, it's a higher number card, um, but also this is one of the. I mean, I feel like I say this for every card from this set, but it really was true for this one. This is one of the last ones I got, and one of the reasons was because it's hard to find centered. The only national I went to was 2019, and I was looking for this card, and I was looking for the mantle, and I drove Brian Roth crazy, and he was very nice about it because Brian is the man, and he gets it because he's very methodical about the way he does his work, and he's like, he told me at one point, he's like, I want to understand, I want to understand what you're trying to find, and he must have found like 7 or 8 Snyders. I had to keep saying nope, not that one, and they were all off center. So it wasn't because there weren't enough out there. It's just it's a difficult card to find in the condition that I wanted.
Yeah, go back to
Go
the
ahead.
4. Go back to the active ones.
Yeah.
And look at the 4 that's for 180, and you're going to see why I was willing to pay 300 for the other 4.
Yes, you got these kind of roller lines here, and
I think they're almost creases right through his face, and that there are a few things that bother me. Like it's not even the centering that bothers me; it's all the lines right there. And so, yeah, I could buy that one for 180. But I wouldn't be happy. I'd never be happy with it. I'd look at it and be upset all the time.
For sure. There's a lot of cards in this set that I'd come across that have these streaks on them, and they're not creases. They almost look machine made, like they got stuck in some kind of press.
Gotcha. They are symmetrical there, aren't they?
Yeah. And I agree with you. Like I would not, I'd always look at that card and be like, yeah, I need to find another one.
Yeah, it's so, and then that 3 that's 175 is got its issues too. So anyway,
yeah, I'll say this though: when you do find the right one, to me, this is like, I've said this to somebody before. If you went to the dictionary and there was like a picture of a baseball card, to me, it's this card. Like, it's just such a classic shot of,
it's a good one.
of Snyder. Yeah.
So you think I'm being smart by being patient?
Oh yeah, yeah. And the thing is, it'll pay off because when you find the right one, it's like, yeah, it was worth it. I mean, you know that.
Yeah, I do. You just still like to hear people tell you that you're doing the right thing. Like, tell me I'm an idiot if I'm being an idiot. I'll take that too. But
no, you're talking to the wrong guy if it's about pulling the trigger. I sit and wait. Let's see.
But I'm excited to get
about
53
Yeah.
black and. Are you talking about the 53 Bowman black and white question?
Yes.
I'm trying to do the Hall of Famers. I only have one. I bought the Johnny Mize at the National. They're just crazy expensive.
Yeah, they're definitely not as fun as the color. And I have no. There are some people that really don't like black and white cards in general. I'm not one of those. I think there are some really cool black and whites out there, but that set I'm not as drawn to. I do like the Casey Stengel stands out to me as a card I want to get at some point.
It's a good one. I agree. So are you what's stuff you're looking for right now?
I was talking earlier, and actually that's a good question for you, Mike. 1951 Topps. I was talking about how like a lot of people just sort of dismiss that because it's not technically a card set, it's a game. But do you have any of those, and what are your thoughts on it?
I love them to death. Get one in your hands.
Yeah.
And you will feel differently.
Right.
And to me, they're cards. So I get why people might not like them, but I have the. Well, shoot, I have them right here. They're
Go
right
here. Good to see you, Donnie. Good to see you, Gary.
I don't have many of them.
Yeah, Carlisle. They're definitely they definitely show up in other sets.
So I have the Berra.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And the grades on these are all over the place. So, they came in 2-card little packs. That's why you see perforation like on the top there.
Oh yeah.
And you tore them apart. So there's the Berra, and this is the red backs. So there's red backs and blue backs. I have none of the blue backs because they're harder and more expensive. And then I have an early win.
Oh, cool.
And then I have a Kiner. And I have a Bob Feller.
Nice.
So that's all I got. It's not a big set, and there's not a lot of the superstars, There's no Mantle Maze or any of that kind of stuff like there is in 51 Bowman. If you were to have to choose 51 Topps or 51 Bowman, I'd take the Bowman every day of the week, twice on Sunday in 51. But that's a set that I think is just overlooked a lot because of 52.
Sure.
But I love them, actually. I would tell you, if you're thinking about it, you may get a few and you'll feel differently about them.
Yeah, I have the I think it was actually Reese was showing off a Richie Ashburn 51 Topps. And he's a Phillies collector and an Ashburn collector. I was just looking, I was like, why have I not looked at any more of those cards? And so I just started digging into it the other day.
One of my favorites that I don't have is the Monty Irvin.
Right.
Big card. I just love it. And for what they are, they're not crazy expensive. I think a lot of them have been sucked up and taken off the market. But like a Monty Irvin 51 PSA 8 just sold for $285 a couple of weeks ago. That's crazy to me. How cheap that is. Like,
a 50s card in an 8, yeah, for that amount of money.
Pull up sold on 51 Topps Irvin PSA, and you'll see there's a panel. You can see what the panels look like. It's kind of cool. Or I can share my screen, I guess, too.
Oh, I've got it.
Go to sold, yeah. Keep going. It's back in July. Did you put Monty Irvin or just Irvin?
Irvin.
Huh. I don't see it. You should have already found it. Yeah, it's okay. I can share my screen. Oh, there it is. Go back up.
Is this 6
there.
here?
No. It's the panel. So it's 2 players.
Oh,
Right.
oh, wow.
That's what they looked like before they were torn apart.
Right.
And it's much more rare to find them together.
Together, sure, because the whole point was to play with it. That's cool.
Yeah. And that's how they came in the pack. 2 cards for a penny.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. I mean, I have a 53 Bowman salesman sample where it's very similar. It's basically they just made partially they're basically uncut sheets, but just in threes, I guess. Let's see, I can just type in Bowman salesman sample. I'm sure something will come up. So yeah, so you can just see what it looked like to see all the cards together.
Those are cool.
Oh yeah, and here's the 55. And this one's a little more interesting because you have all the cards together, but on the back you get this little ad,
Very cool.
which was supposed to entice the store to pick up the product for the summer, I guess.
See how it says at the bottom, stock a dozen boxes? Like, I'll take a dozen boxes right now. I'll take a dozen.
Get ready for the big demand. Yeah.
Mike, do I have a Duke Snider rookie? No, I do not, Gary. I have a Duke Snider rookie. Yeah, they need to change them to nickel sleeves. Do you have a 53 Bowman color wrapper?
No, it's kind of like on the back burner as something I need, but they don't come up very much, and I mean they come up in auctions, but I haven't really been looking lately.
Gotcha.
One of these days.
Well, I'm going to let somebody else get in here for a little while. Thanks for letting me come on and chat with you.
Yeah, for sure. It was fun, man. We'll do it again.
For sure. I need to have you on my podcast.
Let's do it.
We'll do that in the next few weeks. But tomorrow I'm interviewing Peter Steinberg, president of SGC. So,
okay, I can understand why you're going with him first before me, but it's all good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same, my friend. Everybody have a good night.
Cool. Take care, Mike.
See you, brother.
All right, guys. What should we be looking up? It's fun talking to Mike. Yeah, I really like this Monty Irvin, and I think I like the Bob Feller too. I mean, Bob, like I said this last night, Bob Feller just has lots of really cool cards. Anybody else wants to hop in and have a chat? Here is the link. Otherwise, if there are cards you guys are interested in looking up or anything anybody is interested in chatting about, maybe we could go back to that topic of what our grade would be if we were PSA or SGC graded as a human. That was an interesting idea. Yeah, 49 Bowman. All right. I like that it's just a chorus. Dean and James, I totally agree with you guys. I was looking at 49 Bowman earlier today. Okay, we'll do this real quick. Gary asks, have you seen the 37 OPC Feller? I'm not even sure what that is, Gary, but I'm interested. Who has some 49 Bowman cards that they are fond of? '37 O-Pee-Chee Feller. It may just not be coming up here on on eBay, or perhaps I'm putting it in incorrectly. I'd say we're all gem mint one of ones. Well, whoa, we got a double whammy here, guys. Look at this. Triple threat here. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What up, everybody?
How you guys doing? What's going on?
I'm doing good. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing okay. Just looking at cardboard, you know, the usual.
Never heard of it.
I think you've dabbled in it from time to time.
From time to time, there's a little dabble rooski. So, what were you just looking up? I heard you were talking about a specific card.
Oh man, there's so many cards floating around in the chats right now. Guys are confusing me. I'm an old man. I can't keep up. Derek, what's going on with you? You there?
I barely hear you guys work on this kinks here. You guys
Oh,
can
okay.
hear me at all?
Yes, we can hear you. But since you can't hear me, I don't know if you can hear that I can hear you. What's going on in Zombie headquarters?
Not much, man. Just I just sat down. I've been out running around doing the dad thing, and then I got home and I saw that you were talking to Mike. So I sat back and listened to the lovely vocal cords of Mike talking about how great he is. And then I thought I'd jump in and hang out for a bit.
Oh, that timing is so unfortunate, man. It would have been great to have you and Mike together.
Trust me, it would have been magical.
Well, you guys have streamed together before, though.
Oh yeah, dude. It's all good, man. I just like busting some chops. That's all.
That's your thing. I know. It's all good.
Yeah. So let me ask you. I saw you did a video about the 59, right? Aaron and Mays.
Yeah, 58.
58. Sorry. So, like you said, the video. I don't think you went into a whole lot of detail, but you mentioned that after the Aaron, you were like, I'm pretty much done. And then you're like, well, then this came along. So and maybe you mentioned this in the video and I just missed it, but was it just because the price was right on the card, or was it just because you're like, if I don't pull the trigger on this card now, I'm going to regret it because it's going to go up even more? So was there, what was the determining factor on that, or it was neither one of those options? And maybe you already discussed this.
No, I didn't. It was the price, I think. And I'm always trying to do two things, which is, I've got these cards on my list. So, some of them are, not necessarily that expensive. Others are, more of a commitment financially. And I want to get the card, but I can't get anything unless it's a 1 or a 2 a lot of times these days, and so when I see a 2 come up or a 1 and it looks really nice, it's once in a blue moon. So it's like, if I want to get it, I kind of feel like I got to get it right then, or I may not see it for another year or more. And so it's like, well, I might as well go for it. And it's not the kind of commitment like an Aaron rookie where, that's something that I really have to sort of sit back and figure out over a few months time. This was not that. And honestly, maybe I was just getting a little excited about the collection again, because like getting the Hank Aaron card really kind of jazzed me up about the collection in a way that I had not been in a while.
Sure.
And that Mantle Aaron card was a lot of fun. So there wasn't a lot of like real strong thought behind it, honestly. I'm liking the hat.
Thanks, man. So I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, like when I saw that card, it's funny you show that card because you don't see that card brought up a lot on videos. But when I was a kid, I think I mentioned this on my channel at some point in time, but there was a store called The Sports Page in Jeffersonville, Indiana, where I'm from, but that later changed his name to Hockey Man's. And he dealt in vintage mostly. And I remember going to that store and seeing that card when I was a kid. I loved that card. I thought it was so cool. Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle. And of course, back then it was, Raw was obviously the only option back in the olden days. And I remember I worked for the guy when I got to be about like 12 years old. He said I could come and like put like hand correlate sets together. So he would hire me to go sit in the back like I was some kind of like, like little troll or something, like some kind of like little gnome, like one of Santa's little helpers. And I would put sets together. And so instead of getting money, he would give me cards. And I was able to get that card from him. He gave me that card for like a weekend's worth of work.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was really cool. Because, I mean, of course, this was in the 80s. So, I mean, that card was probably like $10 maybe or something. I don't even know, $15. So that was easy. That's like easy 3 or 4 hours of work. He was like, sure, Jason, take that card. And I've always had a special affinity for that card or appreciation for that card.
You still have that card, Jason?
Yeah, it's at my parents' house, I believe. Like probably like all my really good stuff is at my mom and dad's because I moved so much early on in my life. Okay, this is getting obnoxious. That it was the one constant that was their house, of course. And I didn't want to like lose the collection. So my dad basically said, hey, I'll just keep everything in my house. So it's there somewhere. I mean, I don't have any idea of the condition. It could be a Harold Baines Gym in 11, or it could be like a authentic. I don't remember. So, but just the fact that when I see that card, that immediately makes me think of like 1988 Jason, or 1987 Jason immediately. So yeah, it was really cool. It was a cool opportunity to see you show it off on your channel. So thank you for that opportunity, dude.
Dude, I'm really curious to see all these cards at your parents' house, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, like Derek, I don't know. I mean, his collection's obviously pretty amazing. I mean, if you watch his channel, I mean, he's like the unsung hero of like so much awesomeness. So I don't know if he's ever. Have you ever talked to Eric about like how you got into it, like how you got into collecting? Was this something you did as a kid, or with your folks or anything, or
me?
Yes, sir.
My parents never collected. When I was, I think, 8 years old, year 1980. I remember 1980 was my first year. I bought baseball cards. As I went to a friend's house, classmate's house, and he had some cards laying around. And I think I just started watching baseball and sports in general. 1980 is like the first year I remember watching sports on TV, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, golf, Olympics, and whatnot. And
Sure.
he gave me some cards, and from then on, I was hooked. My younger brother, 2 years old, 2 years younger than I am. We both just started collecting in baseball and football, went to shows and bought packs throughout the 80s. And from there on, we collected cards. And this happened this past weekend. Our local mall had a card show, and my brother came up to visit. We spent the afternoon together and went to a show and had a good time.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. I mean, my dad and my brother used to go to the card shows together for us, you know. But to kind of get back to what you mentioned, Alex, because I didn't really know how Derek's story was. And I'm sure I missed that if he mentioned it on his channel. But my dad's always been a collector. And I think if you have that kind of person in your life, it could be a mom, it could be your grandparents, it could be anybody, it could be a brother. But if you kind of get that early on, I feel like it kind of stays with you.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad's always been a collector. So we would go to these shows, to go back to what you said. And he would buy so much stuff. And, you know, my brother and I, kind of like what you said, Derek, my brother and I about 2 years apart. So he always felt like he had to do everything even. So if I got a Brooks Robinson autograph at a card show, he'd get my brother a Ricky Henderson autograph or whatever. Just, it had to be even all the time. It couldn't just be like, you're getting this or whatever. So all that stuff we got growing up is all at their house, plus the stuff he's been collecting himself since God knows when. So, you know, so yeah, I mean, if I have such a small house, if I had all the stuff that he gave me over the years or I kept as a kid, I mean, I end up having to buy like a storage unit and move into it or something because I wouldn't be able to keep it all in my house.
My brother's predominantly football, so I'm more predominantly baseball, so we have that little separation there. He does collect other sports and stuff like that, but me, I'm just basically 99% baseball, and he's more of a football driven, but he does do baseball and hockey and basketball and such. He does some non-sports like Star Trek and such, but pretty much my favorite sport is baseball. His is football, so we have that little separation. So we still talk hobby and stuff, but we're not competing for the same cards or anything like that at all.
Hey guys, I hate to cut you off, guys. I'm getting a text for like a family thing, so I gotta call.
All right, man.
But
hopefully it's okay.
Sorry to cut us off, but we'll have to do this again.
All right, be well.
Join in next time, all right, guys? So take care, everybody.